Looking too far into the future turns playing into anxiety. You end up chasing hypotheticals instead of enjoying what you already have. This is the main message of this video. Recently, they teased the new Wind Vase, or I guess now it's reviewed as Tempest Wind, and I think many people were upset because the next banner is supposed to be Violet or Kasumi, which means that Kasumi and Wind Vase, they probably swap places in the order of character release. Actually, I think Kasumi will be delayed one more banner. I think it's gonna be Wind Vase or Tempest Wind, Lion Dance Rin, and then Kasumi. Reason is because it syncs with Chinese New Year for Lion Dance Rin. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is telling you why you shouldn't plan too much ahead into the future and why it's causing more harm than good. So the first reason is pretty much what I already said. The banner order can and will change. We already learned that with the twins back in December, and this will not be the last time. They will change order. They will continue to change order until we catch up to the Chinese version. Because of the schedule changes, your plans will get messed up. Let's say you plan to pull for Kasumi, who is supposed to come now. She gets delayed one update, which means that you have one more update to save. Good for you. But let's say you are saving for Wind Vase, and Wind Vase's release gets pushed earlier. That means you have one less update to save. That would suck. But should you be mad? I don't think so, because you plan too much. It's a weird thing to say that planning is bad, but in this case, it kinda is bad. So what should you do to prevent this? Personally, I would say don't have a fixed pull schedule or like a pull plan. Just have a general amount of gems ready for whatever that's coming. A good rule of thumb is to always have enough for one extra PT. So that means you should always have like 30,000 gems on hand, if possible, so that you can pull whatever curveball they throw at us. Next reason I want to talk about is opportunity cost of saving. If you keep saving, let's say you're gonna pull like Makoto Yuki, which is like months ahead, you're gonna save for him. What happens is you're not gonna pull for the next couple months. What that means is your current account is gonna be weaker. That is kinda a bad thing, because that means you're gonna struggle more in the current content. That means you're gonna get less rewards in the current content, especially for Astrolab, because the Guild Boss SOS is very easy to get the like important rewards. For Astrolab, you might struggle if you don't pull anything until like 6 months later. And what this means that you're probably not gonna enjoy playing the game if you are not able to complete the important stuff. You will also miss building teams, making rotations if you're into that. What I'm saying is that if you keep saving, it will cost you now. Whether or not that's worth it is for you to decide. And then when you do pull the character, let's say I was using Makoto Yuki as the example, right? Let's say if you do pull the Makoto Yuki, maybe to A4 or something, or even A6 if you save that much. Cool. You have a very, very, very strong character. But how long is that character gonna actually last? And that leads me to the next point. Power creep. Power creep is real. It exists in any game. And it makes sense. They power creep so that you are forced to pull for new characters. Let's say, back to Makoto Yuki, let's say you pull A6 Makoto Yuki. Who knows? In half a year time, they release a new character whose A2 out-damages A6 Makoto Yuki. What happens then? You'll feel sad. But should you be surprised? No. Because anything can happen in the future. You cannot predict the future. However, despite what I said, the good thing is that you have your A6 Makoto Yuki. Let's say, like I said, half a year later, a broken character releases or something. At least in that half a year, you get to play Makoto Yuki. Very nice, right? So it's not exactly a terrible idea to save for A6 because you can still use them. Because you can still use them for a while until they get power creep. But just know that it will happen. The final point I have is the global buffs. We know that every single character that's coming to global gets a buff. Some of them make them very, very strong. Like for example, Cherish. Some of them barely change anything like Mesa. But a buff is a buff. And buffs can change the pull value of a character. Let's say, again, you want to pull for Makoto Yuki, right? Because you think that everybody else below him is useless. Who knows, in between, Akechi comes out. They buff him like crazy. Because everybody knows that Akechi kinda sucks, right? Let's say they buff Akechi like crazy, somehow. And he becomes the most broken character in the game. What happens then? Your pull plan might change, right? Things can change. That's the main message of this video. Things can change. And you have to be okay with the change. Or maybe let's say Makoto Yuki again, they barely buff him, right? Or maybe even nerf him, which is very unlikely, but the chance is non-zero. but let's say they barely get any buff. That means the pool value for him doesn't really increase much compared to someone else that gets better buffs. So I've said quite a few things already, but what should you do then if I don't plan for the future? Well, I have a few advices. Of course, it's based on my opinion. You can obviously disagree with everything I say in the video, because that's just how I view the current state of the game. I am enjoying the game a lot, so I'm just going to provide some of my insights on this. The first thing I would advise is, don't plan too far ahead. Plan maybe just 2 or 3 banners at most. Personally, I don't even look at a lot of characters into the future. I only know like the next few characters, because again, there's no reason to look so far, because they can get buffed, they can get changed. The next advice I have is, you can set aside how many % you save for a character, how many % you save for if things go wrong. So for example, maybe you have 50,000 gems and you always set aside 20,000 for emergency changes. For example, the twins. So if something like that happens again, because we will definitely have another St. Martin's release soon, maybe the first anniversary or something, set aside 20,000 gems so that if things go wrong, if schedule changes, if they crazy buff a character, you have that 20,000 gems to spend on them. Everything else, you can do whatever. Or if you have like a plan, you know, like A1 Ange for example, then you have 20,000 gems for emergency, you have another maybe 40,000 gems for A1 Ange. Everything else, do whatever. So basically just plan your gems and have some sort of emergency fund ready. It's obviously easier said than done, because I know many people have gambling issues or they just like to pool. The biggest excuse I see is people like to build PT. Come on guys, building PT is not real. They will mess you up. The final advice I have is a bit extreme, I would say, and I think it's pretty much impossible to do, but I still wanna let you guys know, and it's to treat Global like a mystery show. Even if you know spoilers, you act like you don't know, because it kinda keeps the hype real, at least for you, because you don't know what's coming. That also keeps your expectations low, so you don't assume that what's coming next is what is expected. Now, final thing I want to say before the video ends, it is a hot take of mine. I really want Global to catch up to the other versions soon. Biggest reason is so that we have no idea what's coming. No more problems like this, you know, like chaos throughout the community and all that stuff. And then we also have more hype because we don't know what's coming. This will make the game more exciting to play, just like how the twins brought so much hype to the game. And I hope we get another St. Martin's release soon. Feel free to share with me your thoughts. You agree? You disagree? You have anything you want to add? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Basically, the take-home message of this video is, try not to plan too much ahead, because things can change and they will change. And if they do change, don't be surprised. We will never know what's gonna happen in the future.